Hi everyone, welcome to this week's colouring video. We're going to be colouring in this design from 113 of my Coloring Botanical Mandalas book. Now, this is quite a traditional, more of a traditional mandala really than a botanical one. But today we're going to be using something brand new. I picked up these Aquamarkers in Holland. They're quite reasonably priced. They've got two tips on them. They've got like a brush tip and a bit of a harder tip as well. There's the harder tip there and the brush tip. They are kind of more of a student grade. I wouldn't say they're professional kind of markers or anything like that, but I thought I'd try those out today just for something different. And because they are markers, I do have a piece of card, mixed media paper, that I'm placing behind the page here, just obviously because the colour will bleed through and I don't want to spoil the design on the next page. So I'd highly recommend doing that. So I've got two different sizes here. I'm not really sure why they're two different sizes, but they're pretty cool, and they've both got like the hard tip and the brush tip on them, and there's loads and loads of them available. They've got all these colours, and you can kind of store them upright like this, and you can kind of look at the different colour numbers and everything as well. So you know what, this is the first time I'm trying these out. I'm sure as I experiment I will find some different ways to use them. So I'm just going to dive right in here. I've just picked a few different colours and I'm just going to go ahead and start colouring in. And I guess one thing that's so different to using colouring pencils is these pens obviously are very flooded with pigment. So you're not really going to get that kind of light and heavy pressure that you use with colouring pencils. The colour when we use kind of any kind of marker is quite flat, so keep that in mind. So when you are colouring in, you know, different designs, you can actually get some really different kind of effects using the flat colour from these markers, and then maybe something else where you've got the gradients and the blending, you can use colouring pencils. So this is what's really great about using different materials, and my colouring book can take pretty much all different materials as well. The paper is on the thinner side, but it is fine with inks, pens, watercolors. I've used all different materials, and placing a little bit of card behind the paper always helps as well. So that's the green just added to the center here, and I'm just going to continue on and just add color, like the more flat color to the design, and kind of experiment as I go along, and I'll jump in and just kind of let you know what I'm doing. Now I would say that I do actually prefer using the brush part of these pens. That's something I've discovered, I think, because it feels a little bit like a paintbrush. So I've actually kind of enjoyed using that brush part of the pen to colour in. You do get a few little marks as you're colouring it in, but actually you can actually intensify the colour by going over with another layer as well. So I'm kind of experimenting as I'm going through, and I think no matter what kind of pens you're using, I think the effect and the process and everything is quite similar. I don't really use a lot of pens in my artwork, to be very, very honest. This is very new for me. You know, I much prefer colouring pencils and watercolours and inks. So I'm kind of like on a bit of a learning curve myself by using these in my colouring book for today's video. And I'm sure I will return as well to keep using them. So I'm going to speed up the film a little bit, and then I'll come back and have a chat with you on some of the things that I'm doing with the pens using this particular design for this week. Now, if you do want to actually learn to draw your own mandala designs, this particular design is in my Draw and Colour Botanical Mandalas course that you can find on my website, artclasses.louisegale.com, and I take you through step-by-step process of how to actually draw this mandala, and also there's lots and lots of other botanical mandalas that you can learn to draw as well. So I'll pop the link in the description of this video, and obviously all the materials that I'm going to be using today, I'll pop links in for you as well. So if you want to take a look and you're interested to find out more, you can just click on those links and have a look for yourself and decide whether these pens would be fun to use as well. And I'm going to be using some other pens to finish off the design, so I'll pop all of that in the description. And of course, if you've got any questions, please do add a comment below. I do check my videos regularly, so if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So please make sure you comment below. Okay, let's go and do some colouring. So after adding this coral and that steely blue, I decided I didn't like the colours that I added. So here I grabbed a bit more of a fluorescent kind of pink colour, and I just thought I'd just add that to this coral just to give it a bit more of a deeper tone. I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't sitting right with me. And that's something else I discovered about these pens. So you like a lot of materials, if there's something you don't like, then you can just colour over the top of it. So with these pens, obviously if the colour is lighter that you began with, then if you don't like it, you can actually go back over with another colour and add that. So this one, even though it's a fluorescent pink that I'm using, it's giving it a bit more of a deeper red. Then to add some contrast, you can see here I'm adding, this is actually a dark kind of green colour, but when we're adding it to this blue, it's actually turning it into a very dark grey, almost like a black. And I think what's lovely about this is actually making that centre lotus kind of pod and flower really, really pop out. And that's obviously something we can do when we use colouring pencils. We can use, very light application and heavy application to get that different contrast. But with the pens, you really do have to kind of really think about your colours. That's obviously something I'm learning as I'm going along, because I'm so used to kind of adjusting my pressure on my pencils. Now for this one, I thought I would try to use the other side of the pen here. So I've kind of put the brush away and I've gone back to this kind of hard tip. Now this is actually okay if you've got smaller sections to fill in, you want to be a bit more directed with your pen. If you do have pens like this, and or maybe you do have these particular pens, or maybe other pens that have the hard tip and the brush on them, I'd love to hear what you think about them as well, and if you use them for different artworks and different things as well. I would love to hear what your opinion is of these types of pens also. Okay, so I'm going to have a go at doing a little bit of trying out a bit of gradient. So I'm going to colour in these lovely little leaves with the green, and I'm going to kind of just go over, like you can see now, and colour this in, and then I'm going to add another layer to one side of these little leaves or little petals, just to see if I can kind of create a little bit of a shady kind of gradient look and feel. I kind of feel like I really want to add that because the colour is very flat that we've been using. So I thought I'd just experiment a little bit just to see if I can get that kind of effect. And it seems to kind of be quite subtle, and you can actually add that. So as you see, as I go around, you'll be able to see that actually you can see a difference on the actual individual little leaves themselves. And you can see I'm using the brush pen for these, so I'm kind of giving them quite long strokes, and then I'm going over again on the left hand side to see if I can add that shadow in, and I'm rather liking the results of that actually. So that's good fun. I'm going to continue on and finish those. Now I'll speed up the film here for you as I finish colouring in the whole design, and then we'll come back, and I've got some other materials that we're going to be using, some other pens, to add some embellishments to this design in gold and white. So let's just finish this design off with the pens, and I'll be back with some embellishments. Okay, so here's our finished design. I actually thought the camera was rolling when I started colouring. You can see in the top left hand side. So I've actually got 3 different pens here. I've got this white Posca paint pen that I'm going to be using. I've got this jelly roll pen in like a metallic gold. And then I've got this Staedtler, just kind of gold paint pen. I'll put all the links in the description in case you're interested in finding out more. So first of all, I'm going to use this Staedtler paint pen, and I'm going to go ahead and just add the gold in between the green that I added to the outside leaves, just for a bit of interest. Now you can see I'm kind of quite colouring in this in, quite loosely. I'm leaving a little bit of white there, but I'm going to come back and outline these leaves later on with one of my embellishment pens. So we'll get all of these added in around the edge first. Then I'm going to use this jelly roll pen in gold just to do some line work and some outlining as well. So, where we've actually used the pen, like that purple that's going around that area that we're drawing on top of now, obviously we covered in some of the line work. So I thought I might just emphasize some of the line work in the gold, and we go around and do some in white in a moment as well, just to kind of bring some of these design elements together as they were in the original design. So first of all, just kind of connecting up the little flowers with the gold pen, and then I'm going to use this pen as well to go around the outer edge and outline all that kind of leaf design. And I'll show you later on as well, because sometimes the gold doesn't really show up very well on the camera, but I'll grab a light in a minute and you can see that shimmer and shine, so you can see what happens to the design when you add the gold to it. So let's pop some light on this. I've actually got one of these little mini, it's like a little LED light that you clip onto things. It's not particularly that bright, but actually when you're doing work like this, it's quite good just to kind of emphasize the shimmer. So I'm just going to clip it to my camera here, so there'll be a little bit of a wobble. Pardon for that. Bit of a wobble on the old camera, just when I adjust it to that. And you'll be able to see actually how that is now making some of the elements of the design shine a little bit. So you can kind of see that gold line work a little bit more, and hopefully you can kind of get an idea of how that shimmers and shines and how that can look on your design when you use that gold pen. So I'm going to do some embellishing with this white paint pen from Posca here, and I'm just going to outline this design and maybe add some dots on some of the darker areas. So perhaps where we've got the dark purple and that dark green in the center, I'm going to kind of lift some of that up a little bit, because obviously we've got the gold around the edge that's lifting that area of the design up, and it will be good to kind of have that mirrored a little bit from the center. So I'm going to go ahead, outline with the white and do some outlining with the gold again as well, just kind of balance the design out and let it all shimmer and shine a little bit, and just add a couple of little dots and embellishments to finish everything off. Okay, so just adding some of the finishing touches to the center here with the jelly roll pen in that gold. And actually you'll see that I've left quite a lot of white space. I think this design really does go well with having the white showing, especially with what we've been using with the solid color. So that was kind of like a design decision. I didn't mention that before. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a go at using some pens yourself to colour in one of my designs or one of your own botanical mandala designs. I'd love to hear how you get on, so please let me know. And if there's other materials you like or you'd like to see me use, then I'll have a go at doing that as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. I'd love to see what you guys create, so please use the hashtag Botanical Mandalas Colouring Club, and I can find you and comment on your gorgeous colouring, and I can't wait to see what you guys create. Okay, thanks a lot everyone. Bye.